Welcome back, my friends, to DEFCON 5. Today, at long last, we have achieved DEFCON level 1. It's been many a week, months even, since I started this little endeavor to answer the age-old question from the City of Heroes on the Homecoming servers. Actually, before the Homecoming servers, this is going back to live. Defenders, controllers, two of the classic archetypes in the game, both designed around support sets. Defenders have it as a primary, controllers as a secondary. Which of these two is better? Which one does the job better? Which one is going to be the supporter? The go-to, the one that's going to keep the team running, keep the team going, save you in times of crisis. Is it defenders with their superior buff numbers, raw numbers, highest in the game? Or is it controllers with the mythological synergy between their powerful controls and their support buffing, debuffing sets? Peanut butter and jelly we're talking about. And we started this task, this question, back with DEFCON level 5. We were taking a look at electro affinity. And then in DEFCON 4, we went to nature affinity. And then in DEFCON 3, we looked at time manipulation. And most recently, DEFCON 2, we took a stab at kinetics. And in each of these tests, we had one defender, one controller with that shared support set and a variety of other sets going head to head, as it were, over a series of 5 missions with teams of 5. And looking at and collecting and analyzing 5 different data sets and trying to get to the answer, who's better? Who's better? Who's better? Who's best? You've heard me say and ask that before. And so here we are in DEFCON level 1, our final test, our final pair. This is going to give us 10 total characters, 50 missions we will have looked at, and hopefully by the end of this, compiling all this data, we'll be able to answer the question at long last with tangible, meaty numbers, not just opinions, not just what it says on paper, but real world game experience. But hey, before we jump to that, what's going on in DEFCON 1? What is the final combination of characters we're looking at? What is the support set this time? This is your final chance to guess. Go ahead and put it down in the description or the comment section below. Ready? Don't look at the title. That's cheating. 3, 2, 1. Boom. We're looking at traps, of course. Traps. One of the... Actually, this set, I was about to say one of the oldest sets. It's not. Actually, this set, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was actually released, not with live, but back when City of Villains was released. I think that was 2006. And this was a set that was native to Corruptors and Masterminds, red side archetypes, villains. And it wasn't ported over to blue side until much later. And first, I think it was controllers who got it, and then defenders after that. I forget the exact dates, but maybe we'll take a peek at that as we're going through the set itself. But hey, what's up with traps? Traps are devices, gadgets, and gizmos. And you use them to, as it says here, cripple your foes. By using them strategically, you can gain great tactical advantage. And traps include ambush devices, spelled wrong there, should be a C, unless I guess you're from across the pond, as well as gadgets that can be constructed to aid you and your allies. So they're both debuffing and buffing. And let's take a look at the list and go over some of the numbers in detail here so we can see what we're looking at. All right, let me scoot my melon out of the way too so we can see this a little bit better. I'll shove myself up here. All right, here's what we got. Here's what we've got. So primary levels, this is for defenders who have this as their main power choices. And then secondary, that's what you'd see in corruptors, controllers, and masterminds. But here you go. You got web grenade, single target, ranged, immobilized. It also has some minus recharge, some minus flight. You have caltrops, which is a nice little location patch AoE. It doesn't have very much range. You can only throw it maybe like 5 feet. but it does a whole bunch of DOT damage, lethal, over time, and it has a really strong minus speed component to it. We'll look at some of these numbers. Use City of Data for that. Triage Beacon. Second level pickup, so you got to take Web Grenade or Caltrops at level 1. But then you can get Triage Beacon. This is a regeneration, so it's not a healing power. It's a placeable beacon, has an aura that it emits, and anybody standing nearby will get a regeneration buff out of it, so you get your health back faster. Then you got Acid Mortar, which is another little placeable. It's a trap. This one has little ranged spits that it fires out, little bomblets, I guess. And it hits targets, little AoE, some toxic damage. But the big thing is it has minus defense and minus resistance on it. Force Field Generator. This is really strong. This is where I think if defenders are going to get an advantage out of any sets, I think Force Field Generator is the one, because the numbers on this are pretty crazy on defenders. I don't know, maybe like 10% better than controller, something like that. We'll take a look at the numbers before I sound like I'm making crap up. But anyway, really strong defense numbers, and this is probably the number one reason why, if I were to make a traps anything, I would go defender first, just because the raw defense numbers you can get from this power, and then you can couple it with something like maneuvers from the leadership pool. You can get some sizable defense. And I don't want to spoil my build for my defender, but I think you know where I'm going to be going with that one. And then the other big thing you get out of this is resistance to some controls, some Mez protection, so disorient, hold, and immobilize. Not all of them, but some of the biggies. Poison trap. This is a nice little placeable trap. You drop it down, PB AoE exploding. Foes start choking, puking. It lowers the regeneration, lowers the recharge. It's very strong power, I think. And you get it pretty darn early as a defender. And then seeker drones, little I guess flying little robot drones that zip around, and they can get a little aggressive. They attack nearby enemies, explode. They do a little bit of damage, but they stun. Minus damage, minus accuracy, minus perception. Trip mine. Love to hate this power. I really wish it worked. I really, 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 really wished it did. But as an in-combat power, it is terrible. I don't know if my build's still having it or not, but I may respect them if they do, just because I'm so frustrated with this power. I love the idea you plant little, mines, and they explode, do some good damage, and throw the enemies off their feet. But they have an interrupt. And just about anything will damage, of course, will interrupt this. But there's all these little debuff things out in the game, especially in the later game, that just constantly interrupt you. And if you get interrupted at all within like a 3-second window, it breaks the power's activation. You lose your endurance, and you don't actually plant the mine. It wastes your time, wastes endurance, you can take in damage, whatever, and it just sucks. And I've more often than not been able to put a trip mine down. They're great for, let's say, mining an area and pulling enemies into it. But for a kind of run and gun typical style of play that a lot of teams are doing, and this is terrible. Very few teams are pulling things and waiting for you to do the pulling. So the trip mine itself sucks. And then Temporal Bomb. I have admittedly never tried this. It used to be Time Bomb. They've updated it. I've heard some good things about it, but I still have never gotten it. I haven't really played my trappers much since that change was made. So I still never took the Time Bomb, and I've never updated for Temporal Bomb, and I'm not sure I have any room in my builds to take it. Although, I'm thinking in my head, if I were to take this, it might be a great thing like to dump Trip Mine, if I do have Trip Mine still, dump that and give this Temporal Bomb a chance instead. Because usually if I do take Trip Mine, I'm probably like 3-slotting it, on average, so I can spare a few slots, throw it in this Temporal Bomb. It sounds pretty interesting now, but haven't tried it. So maybe I'll do that as part of this test, part of the study. But there you have it. That is the list of powers that we're dealing with. So let's go ahead and dive into the numbers a little bit on these, just to kind of see, especially the differences between controller and defender versions. Give me 1 second. All right, here's City of Data. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff. So traps on a defender. Now, the one thing I definitely want to look at real quick is the force field generator numbers. So, FFG. Let me scoot this over a little bit. You can see the names better. All right, so force field generator. Let's see what the numbers are for the defender. So first things first, it has 240-second timer on it. So that's what, 4 minutes. So you summon this generator. It has hit points. It can be destroyed and everything, but it's pretty hardy. So you summon this thing for 4 minutes. Range is 20 feet. Now, what are the numbers for the dispersion bubble on the defender? All right, so here's what it's saying. The defender's numbers are 13.3%, it looks like. And then you also get some Mez protection, 6.9. And that is the PvE. Yeah, so PvP would be 69% Mez resistance. So Mez protection is stronger. So you're getting a 6.9, almost a Mag 7 hold, mobilize, stun protection. But I really want to kind of focus on that defense number. So 13.3, that's, unslotted, unbuffed numbers. You can get, I think, like another 60% of that pretty easily with the defender. I think that's like 3 defense IOs in there. So whatever that's going to be, like close to 20%, I think is like your easily attainable numbers with a defender without, going out of your way to get those. All right, so that is defender. So figure about 20% if I'm not mistaken. Now let's go back and take a look at the controller version of it. Controller, go down to traps, pull open force field generator. Boom. Pull up this pet. Dispersion bubble. All right, 10%. That's what I was thinking. All right, so there's about a 3% difference. Now that doesn't seem like a huge difference, but I think in game that's a decent amount. Now it's not so much that, it's then the defender I can get it up to about 20%. I think controller more realistically you're only going to get it to about 15%. So there's more like a 5% difference when you get it, slotted up with some sets and things. And then on top of that, don't forget if you're stacking it with other defenses, which defenders have stronger numbers on, it's going to add together pretty quickly. So that 5% is going to start compounding as you get more and more defense powers into your build. And spoiler, my defender is going for that. Don't want to say too much yet, but survivability through defense is going to be the name of that character's game. My controller, not as much. Not as much. They have controls, so I'm not really worried about it. But the defender is more gonna, live and die by not getting hit. It's one of the few characters that I build that way. But I think with this raw number on dispersion bubble for your force field generator, you can do that with the defender. All right, so figure about a 5% difference just slotted from the get-go between those two. Now, aside from that, let's kind of just focus on the defender numbers, just realizing that the controller numbers will be a little bit lower on each of these. But caltrops, what's up with caltrops? What's the numbers on this one? So you throw out these little pseudo pet, and the caltrops themselves are doing, let's see, they do have a fear effect to them, so be aware of that. They are going to make enemies want to get away. They do screw with their ability to jump, so they're not going to be able to just leap out of the way. That's nice. They do the lethal damage. Now, that's only like 2.7 or whatever, but that's per proc. And they proc for, what's the duration on these things? Gosh, where is it? 1 second, I want to pull this up. Here it is, back at the beginning. So, caltrops are 45 seconds. So for 45 seconds, your trops are sitting out there, and they have a range of 25 feet. I know you can't throw them that far, so that is, I think that's the AoE of their effect, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't think there's any way in hell they're 25 feet. But 15-foot radius sounds more like it. I think that's the radius of the damage, though. I don't see how there's no way you can throw those things out to 25 feet unless, I'm confused about distance in the game. But anyway, 45 seconds within an area of 15 feet, 10 enemies are going to be taking this 2.7. This is unslotted again. And I'm not sure what the tick rate is on this thing, but it's every, what, a couple seconds, half a second. I don't know. It's procking like crazy, right? So you're gonna bleed them out, and they can not really run that fast to get out of it. So minus 80% run speed. So they can't jump, they can't run very far. They want to get away. They're afraid, and they're just taking damage. And this is a great damage proc power if you can get some. I think it takes melee AoE sets or targeted AoE, so you can get some good damage procs in there. Maybe a damage resistance proc in there. So it's a nice little power. A lot of people might skip it, but it can give you a lot of damage if you slot it up correctly. I wouldn't go like all damage in it, but I would do some procs, that sort of thing, to make it nasty. All right, so we got caltrops. Web grenade. This to me is sort of a skippable power, just considering the other things in your arsenal. But it can be useful because it does take slow sets. And slow sets I like because those can be, there's some damage procs in there. So you could get some damage out of it this way. So it's one of these powers that in other builds, I've gotten take damage less powers and make them damaging powers. So there's some opportunity for that. You can also throw immobilized sets in there. Those also have some damage procs. There's a hold proc in there. There's different options for it. It's probably best as more like a minus fly. So if you have flying enemies, I would say that's its greatest use. Because just a single target immobilize, even if you get some damage procs in there, you're not going to get a lot of use out of that in the long run. But it's something if you have an extra pick you want to throw it in there, or it's the only immobilize you have available to you, it might be worth a pickup. Triage beacon. This one's kind of mandatory because you don't have anything else to save you besides your force field generator. So if you only go with force field generator and that is damaged or something happens, you're out of the bubble, or just your allies, they're not close enough to it, you have nothing else. So the triage beacon, something as you can place down. The AoE effect is 40 feet, it says here. And anybody within that 40 feet is going to get 150% regeneration bonus. And, you can slot that up as well. You can get it up to 200 whatever percent. So essentially doubling their regeneration rate. So as long as they're standing nearby, that's a great little power. And it's free to use, really, right? You just drop it and at start of a fight, especially a big long fight, or let's say some of your allies are hurt and are taking a knee, you can put it nearby. I like to put it closer to the combat where I'm standing, where my melee types, because I use my trappers in proximity melee. I'm going to be up there in the fight a lot because some of the powers like triage beacon is one thing I can put anywhere, but I want it to be helping the people up front, people in the back. So if you kind of position it in that middle area, you can get everybody with it. So it's a decent little pickup. You can put the Panacea plus hit points in there. It does work. It will proc for yourself and your allies. It'll give them a little endurance boost every now and then. Acid Mortar, this is like one of these you gotta take it. Powers, this is a good, powerful debuff. It throws out little acid bomblets that are going to do minus 26% defense, minus 26% damage resistance. The damage itself, the toxic, nothing exciting, but these minus defense, minus resistance are great. And if you put, I think this thing takes accurate defense sets, or at least defense debuff sets, so you can get some damage proccing out of there. You could put a oh gosh, what is that thing called? The minus resistance one from the defense. Achilles heel. You can put that in there to get even more damage resistance. So, there's some opportunities here for extra damage and for some more debuffery. But this is really strong. Here's another one I do want to take a look at, the controller version. So we have the 26, almost 27% for the defender. What does that look like on a controller? What are their numbers with this one? Traps. let's go acid mortar for them. Click, click, click. All right, 20%. So yeah, you're looking at 6 2/3% higher. So you can slot this up, get this, 25, 30% base minus defense. But with your defender, you can easily get 30, 35, percent, maybe starting to push 40. So you're going to get a decent amount of debuffery out of it. And then the defender's damage resistance was an extra 6%, basically 6 1/3 or whatever, 6 2/3. So that is unslottable, but you're getting right off the top a bit more damage output for the whole team because your debuff numbers are stronger. So that's the type of thing that you can leverage with your defender, and why you would want to take traps as a defender, let's say over a controller, over a corruptor. But we'll see what the numbers actually bear out. All right, so acid mortar must take. Already showed you force field generator. Poison trap's another one that you want to take. And this one's PB AoE. You got to get right up there and drop it on their feet. But it's really strong. I'll pull this thing up. Self-destruct. Poison gas. So when it blows up, the poison gas comes out. So many different sub-levels here. So initial poison gas. There's a mag 3 hold. And PvP is 2. I don't care about that. So about 6 seconds for a mag 3 hold is the initial pop. Then the poison gas has a massive 1000% regeneration debuff. It's got minus recharge on it, 30%. Let's see, that's the 2%. It must be like a critical hold, I think. 2% chance for that, if I'm reading that correctly. So that's going to make it possibly hold a boss with a one-shot. You can put hold sets in this thing, like let's say a lockdown proc to get the extra mag 2. You can put damage sets in here from the for hold procking. It shows it taking slow sets, which must affect their attack rate, I'm guessing. The minus 30% recharge, is that what the slow is for? Doesn't show anything else about the movement speed, though, so I don't remember it taking slow sets. But it shows it in here, at least that you can put slows. Interesting. But that would be the lingering. So the lingering gas, it says, would take the slow sets. Well, we'll see. I'll have to go look at the mids build on these characters. But again, pretty strong debuff. The curious about, let's see, poison gas. Let me just check this out. So 1000% regen. I wonder what it is on a controller. So minus 1000% on the defender. What is that on the controller side? Let's go take a look. Traps. Poison trap. Poison trap. Self-destruct. Poison gas. So give me this. Looks like it's going to the same location. Maybe it's the same exact numbers. Maybe there is no difference between the two. Interesting. Maybe that's why you're seeing the 2% chance here for the extra. This might be the controller version gets this. Don't know. Don't know. All right. Well, looks like those could be the same for those two archetypes, if I'm understanding how to interpret this correctly. Which I'm not always correct about it, but pretty close. All right, let's go. Got a few more to go. Seeker drones. I like these. I used to not like them or skip them, but they're actually pretty good. And you can do, although I might take this back. I think these are the ones that I thought would take the to hit debuff procs, but I don't think they do. Because pseudopets, you gotta be careful because traps is a little bit weird. Some of the pseudopets do take procs and some of them don't. The procs that they, in general, pseudopets don't seem to take are the ones that cause damage. But the procs that do debuffing kind of stuff, they do take them, usually. So it's kind of the rule of thumb. If you're trying to get more damage out of a power, if it's some sort of pseudopet, usually they don't take the damage procs. But if it's a pseudopet and you want to do, let's say, some procking minus recharge or something like that, or whatever, you can usually get that from pseudopets. So anyway, flash pulse is what I want to look at. Does energy damage, so decent chunk of energy damage. Nice minus 26, percent damage. I'm betting on the controller it's 20%. 665 to hit. I bet on a controller it's 5. So that's something else, on your defender you can get this up to 10, you know, 12%, something like that. Controller, maybe 7.5 to 10 at best. You can't slot anything for more minus damage. There is percent chance to stun. Okay, interesting. And it has a minus perception. The only thing about these things that's a pain is that they like to just go off after stuff. So you might be stealth and hiding, but these things just see enemies nearby and they go after them. I don't know what their sense is, their range, but they just attack. It says here 15 foot, but I think that's the blast radius. I don't know what their detection radius is. That's what I'm curious about. I don't know if it can see that anywhere in here. Let's see anything about their fly. No, they do fly. So if you wanna, zip around in the air, some of your traps fly with you. Triage beacon, no. Caltrops, no. Acid mortar, no. Force field generator, yes, does fly. Poison trap, no. Secret drones flies, but the others don't. So drones and generators do fly. Everything else is ground based. And some of the stuff you have to be on the ground to use it. So making a flying trapper is probably not a good idea. Just too finicky. All right, trip mines. Again, I'm probably not going to take these. I'll probably respec out of them anyway, but I like the idea of them. But they just are so easy to interrupt. They got to do some, hella good damage. 72 or so damage. Fire, 36 more. So about 100 damage. Good old sizable knockback, 2 knockback. Sorry, yeah, 2 knockback here. They do some nice numbers, but man, what's the interrupt time? Do they say how long they have to wait? I'm not sure if it's on here anywhere. They self-destruct. Silent kill. That's their damage resistance and resistance to mez and stuff. Anyway, I don't know. They're just a pain in the ass. All right, temporal bomb. This is one I definitely want to look at because I don't know enough about it. It's kind of like a little pseudo pet now. It says you place a temporal bomb on the ground. The bomb will detonate once the power is activated a second time, resulting in a massive explosion that can damage all nearby foes. So you click it once to place it. You then click it again to blow it up. Big explosion. All nearby flows are sent flying. So it kind of sounds like Trip Mine, but better. As well as it creates a temporal bubble that speeds up yourself and allies. So it's like a little speed boost and slows down enemies. Dude, this sounds pretty effing cool. If used while targeting an enemy in melee, you can attach the bomb to them instead. That's sweet. So they go running. I wonder if you could team that up with like a tank using taunt. Like you stick it on an enemy that you're targeting. Your tank taunts them. They go running and you blow them up when they get near their buddies. That could be freaking funny as hell. All right. So what else we got? Gadget remote bomb. Let's click some of these. Time bomb. Bomb. Now I gotta see where these. Let me go. I don't want to. Let me click through and find out where I get the defender info. 1 second. All right. So found this area here. So here's the bomb itself. So this is the damage it looks like it does. So it's kind of like a trip mine level of damage. Much greater knockback, like 8. So it's a little bit less damage than trip mine. Probably hits more targets. Radius is probably bigger. So it's kind of like a little nuke. And then it has a huge knockback. That's cool. Looks like you can slot it for knockback enhancements. So that means you should probably be able to turn it to knockdown. Then the temporal bubble part is what I also want to see. What do those numbers look like? So the temporal bubble says, all right, so this is your buff. So it's going to add 37.5% run and fly speed and a 37.5% recharge boost, it looks like. Is that while you're in the bubble? I think so. I don't know how long that lasts, though. I mean, these are just half second, but I think that's as long as you're standing in the bubble, it's going to keep you moving faster. It's 55-foot radius. It's a weird number. I don't know. I think I got to try this out, guys. I think I need to If I have trip mine, I'm gonna definitely do this. I'll respec the trip mine out. I'll have to look at my builds, and then I think I'm gonna grab this thing. This just sounds cool. Then the debuff is then the minus part. So minus recharge, minus recovery, minus run speed. It looks like you can put the slow sets in here. So again, I'm seeing some opportunities for some damage proccing. And if you get that recharge thing going and you're playing in melee while you're doing this, 37.5% recharge. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's like half hasten. That's like speed boost levels of recharge, I think. I forget what speed boost is, like 50% or something like that. Anyway, I mean, it's pretty nice. I'm curious how this thing works. I think I shall get it. Cool. All right, well, that is the overview, at least, for our power set of traps. So let's go ahead now and answer the money question. Well, DC, like who are you pitting against each other in this battle royale between defender and controller? And I shall answer that question. So, our challengers are the following. In the blue corner, or I suppose red corner, we have our defender, Cherie da Bom. Cherry Bomb. She is traps, assault rifle, mace mastery defender. She's got a lot of pew pew, boom boom, and a bang bang. Mercenary, crazy, escape from the asylum type of maybe cross between the Joker and, I don't know, pick whatever insane bomber person you can think of out there. That, and in the blue, that person is going against my blue corner, red corner, my controller, Vexaris, Illusion, Traps, Psi Mastery controller. Illusion is a little bit soft on the control side of things, but Traps is going to help make up for that, because Traps has a lot of debuff, a lot of soft control with the slows and that kind of thing. The immobilize with the web nade. So combining that with Illusion's, Phantom Army and the Phantasm and the Spectre, I think you're gonna get a lot of juice out of that. And then Psi Mastery is pretty cool on controllers. You get Psi NATO, you get the Psi what's the Confuse aura. So you can kind of get into melee with your traps and that aura, and then your pets are all over the place. So that's gonna be a fun combination, crazy set as well. I'm not sure as safe as the defender though. That'll be the interesting test, at least when you get up close and personal. So let's take a look at the contestants a little bit more depth. So we got Cherie here, Cherie, traps, assault, mace, kind of this merc, femme fatale. She's nuts, right? She just likes to she wants to see the world burn type of concept. Escape from some loony bin. She's on the run. Of course, she'll defend your team, right? Haha. She's really a selfish type of character, just blowing shit up, likes to get into melee, go nuts. With assault rifle, if you've not played this set, it's everything about this character is like anti-defender. It's what's hilarious about it. But assault rifle, it's your gun, state-of-the-art hardware, equipped to handle all these different munitions and arsenal of stuff you can shoot out there. Also has latest targeting tech and very accurate weapons. So if we go ahead and take a look at some of these powers, and I'm not going to get into depth on these. I'm going to wait till I get into the build videos next. But if we go ahead and just take a look at the lineup of the powers, that's what I want to show you first. So here you go. You got Burst and Slug are your level 1s. Lethal damage across the board here. You got some minus defense and some knockback. Knockback is the thing that AR brings to the table. A lot of the powers have knockback in there. But Burst does have some minus defense. Then you got Buckshot at level 2. Sorry, this is level 4 for Defender. Cone. Cones are another thing that the AR set has for it. Some more knockback. M30 grenade. Targeted AoE. Lethal damage. Some smash as well. knockback. Beanbag, some smash damage, stun. Then you got sniper rifle, lethal damage, knockback. Flamethrowers, another cone, fire over time, ignite, targeted AoE, fire over time, and then full auto cone, lethal, and I forget what the special is, but you got 3 cones here. You got 2 targeted AoEs. You got 3 single target ranged attacks, plus you got a stun. So there's some decent soft control here with the stun and the knockback. You can slot some of these things for knockdown if you want. And the powers animate pretty quickly and recharge pretty quickly. So she's going to be spraying bullets is what you'll see her doing. So that is my defender. Or maybe she's more like an offender. Then we've got Vexaris, illusion trap size, I said. Main concept here, he's an illusionist magician, and he's got these mystical artifacts that are the source of his powers. And he's able to, that's what the traps are, little relics and gadgets that are mystical in origin. Got him from the tomb of the trickster god Anansi, and now uses them to, what, fight crime, I suppose, and summon illusions and things. All right, the set itself is this. You can manipulate light and sound to manifest all sorts of illusions, aiding your allies as well as deceiving your foes. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the lineup of possible powers here. Zoom, zoom. All right, we got Spectral Wounds. That's your single target attack, but it returns part of the damage. It's only fake damage, real damage, like a mix, so it's kind of a little bit wonky. So Illusion itself, like the powers don't do a bunch of damage. It's your pets that are really your main source of damage. So Spectral Wounds is kind of an example of that. But if you can get some decent, front-loaded boom out of your Special Wounds, it can finish an enemy before the heal, the recovery, some of that damage comes back. Blind, there's your standard single target control. And it says targeted AoE here, but that's not true. It's a single target. I mean, unless it's splash damage, and I don't know about it. But it's a single target attack, and it holds the foe. I'm not sure why it's saying hold sleep. Again, I'll double check that when we get to the build video, but I'm almost 1000% sure it's just single target. Deceive, single target, confuse. So you notice there's no immobilize like you saw in all the other control sets here. Then you got Flash, which is a PB AoE hold. I think this might be my first controller with a PB AoE hold. I think. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at my other controllers. But you got to get up close and personal and flash. But that's going to work well with traps, because I'm going to be going up personal and close with traps anyway. Drop the poison trap and flash combined will give me a huge, like mag 6-8 hold, 1-2 punch. Superior invisibility, group invisibility, kind of the same idea, right? Stealth, defense. One is for just you, one is for your whole team. Phantom Army, Spectral Terror, Phantasm. These are your pets. You got your Phantom Army. This thing is kind of like the OP of OPness. OPness. In the game, right? You summon these decoys. They can't be damaged. They can't be killed. And there's 3 of them, and they go off. They just start attacking everything. You can't control them. That's their downside. But you just drop them. They're going to pull aggro, and they're going to start attacking. Until they dispel, and you can pretty much make them perma. I don't remember if my build has them in that way or not, but anyway. And then Spectral Terror is a summonable fear power. You summon this specter, and it howls at people and terrorizes them fear. I think it has some minus to hit, but it doesn't show it here, so maybe not. You could, I think, slot this for a damage proc. I haven't tried it, or at least in my recollection, but that's something to look at. And then Phantasm is your actual true pet. It's like this beam of light flies around after you. It does damage, it shoots blasts, and it also summons its own phantom pet. So you can actually have like 5 pets out between the Phantasm, its pet, your Phantom Army, and Spectral Terror kind of maybe gives you 1 more pet. So really it's a bunch of pets, some stealth, and then these 4, individual attack, flash attack holds up here. So there's not a lot of damaging you directly attacking things and damaging it. So if you want to get any extra damage, you're going to have to get it from some of the pool powers or from your epic set. or from damage procs. And that's where I think traps is going to lend itself well to illusion, because it's going to help shore up some of illusion's weaknesses and just raw control power, and give you some more damage options, and it gives you kind of more target, things around that the enemies will go after, because some of those pets like the acid mortar, they draw aggro, so things will try to attack them. Your orbs there, your drones, those will draw aggro. So there's more targets plus your own pets. So hopefully you got so much stuff flying around and shooting at your enemies that they're not focused on you. The trouble with this guy is going to be AoE, incoming explosions on him. So he's going to need, that defense from his force field generator to kind of soak some of that up, or at least deflect it. All right. Well, there you go, my friends. Those are the two characters that we're going to be comparing head to head in the next week or so and gathering the data. All that's left now is to figure out, well, who is going to go first? Is it going to be my defender, or is it going to be my controller? So far, the defenders went first in the first 3 rounds, and then the controller went first in the last round, DEFCON 2. And oddly enough, when the controller went first in DEFCON 2, that was the most, I don't want to say lopsided, but that was the most definitive win for controllers. Prior to that, the defender won once. There was a tie, and then there was a slight advantage for one of the controllers on, I think it was DEFCON 4. So right now, the controllers are up by 1 point. So this is going to be it. Who is going to win? Is it going to be Cherie, or is it going to be my friend Vexaris? I'm going to go ahead and pull up this site here, flipacoin.com, and heads, it's going to be our friend the defender. Tails, it'll be our friend the controller. So let me go ahead and open the site, and we'll figure this out. Let me switch over to that window. Boom, there it is. All right, here we go, guys. Heads, defender. Tails, controller. Click. Boom, the defenders dropping the gauntlet one more time. So 4 out of 5 of these competitions, the defender has been, I'll go first. So Cherie is going to be mon ami, and she's going to show what she can do. Let's pull her up one last time in this competition. Let's go to slide. Cherie, there she is. So Cherie, I really love this character. I mean, she's just fun, balls to the walls, offender style. You'll see me really probably not giving a crap about my allies, TBH. She's going to go in there and just shoot things and fill them full of lead and traps and stuff, and try to just pin everybody down and kill them so that her allies stay safe. All right, that is our show, and you'll have to tune in to find out what happens with Cherie. I'm going to go over her build in the next video, run a little solo action against a level 50 council group. And then after that, I'll put a team together with her and run a group of 5. Once we're done with that, we'll go ahead and switch gears back to Vexaris, go through his build, the controller, and then his team. And then we'll bring it back together for a couple analysis videos, going through the missions themselves, what happened, looking at their stats. And then we'll conclude with the verdict between these two. And then we're going to have the grand conclusion. We're going to put together all 5 of these DEFCONs, all that data, crunch it all together, and answer once and for all which of these archetypes is better. Until the next video, have yourselves a good night, and peace out.